There you go. All right. So to get started, first and foremost, thank you all for being here and seeing, the invitation through Slack. This is the first social responsibility open house that Asian Leaders Alliance is hosting. Before I get started in regards to just, the context of the whole purpose of why we're here, I wanted to give you a brief overview of the history of ALA. If this is your first time joining ALA, welcome. If this is, not your first time, we'll love to have you. Thank you for always supporting us. But essentially, ALA started as a community, an ERG community, where community leaders came together to share best practices and also lead with thought leadership, different thought leadership events. Since then, it has grown to be extremely intentional in regards to the efforts that it is doing to support ERG, not only leaders, but members and our allies. And as you can see here, this is highlighting just an overview of what we've done in the past. Now, the overall vision of ALA is to unify, advance, and elevate all APIs in the community and workplace through ERG advocacy and action, hence why we are here today to host a social responsibility open house. Our mission is really to equip and empower all APIs and allies to develop as leaders in the workplace, in their communities, and to advocate, serve, and drive collective impact through ERGs and partner organizations. So, with that, I'd like to now introduce our speakers and our nonprofit organizations who will be presenting today. We have three who are here with us tonight, or tonight, midday, afternoon, it's morning for me, wherever you are. Well, we have three different organizations here today. First, our organization that's going to go first to speak is Girls Inc. with Lola Adeyemo, who just introduced herself, and Sandra Ainslie. The second presenter is going to be SF Hep B Free with Richard So. And then the third nonprofit organization that's going to be presenting is going to be Project by Project with our guest speaker, Helen Ma. I hope that by the end of this session, you all have gotten a glimpse of how you can get involved if you want to get involved as an ERG or as an individual contributor, and then reach out to these nonprofit organizations. They're here because they're servicing you and they also are looking for your support. So I highly encourage you to make those connections so you can bring them to your ERGs. So with that, I'm going to actually pass it over to Lola and Sandra. If you guys want to share your screen, please do so now. And just as a reminder, every organization is going to have 15 minutes to present with 5 minutes Q&A. As guests, please ask questions throughout the chat and I will monitor the chat. I will also be the timekeeper just in case Richard goes over with his million slides. And so, yeah, Lola, over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm actually going to pass it over to Sandra first. She's going to get us started and then I'll close out.
Perfect.
Great. Sounds good.
Thank you, everybody. So I'm unable to share until you stop sharing, actually. There we go. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. All right. Let me know if I am successfully sharing. Fantastic. I'm going to get us started with a brief 3-minute video. So let's go ahead and launch that.
I'm strong because I learned to overcome my anxiety and achieve a positive mindset in my life.
Because I don't stay down after a fight.
Because I know my worth and have self-confidence.
I'm smart because I acknowledge my strengths and my weaknesses.
Because I'm goal-oriented.
Because I am persistent in the work I do in school and on my own time.
And I'm bold because I'm not afraid to call out injustices and inequities.
Because I find new ways to open myself to new opportunities and experiences in my life.
Because I don't adhere to society's stereotypes.
I'm Alexa, I'm 16, and I am strong, smart, and bold.
Hi, my name is Adelina. I am 14 years old, and with you in her corner, she will succeed.
I'm Priscilla. I'm 16, and I am Girls Inc. San Diego. My Girls Inc. experience was one of the best experiences in my life. I created bonds with the most amazing girls who understood my problems, and even when they didn't understand it, they took time to acknowledge it and not invalidate it.
What I enjoyed most about Girls Inc. was being able to spend time with girls who are different from me, but in the best way, and learning their stories and sharing experiences that I never knew we had in common.
Being involved with Girls Inc. has showed me that I'm not alone or isolated in my experiences as a young woman in 2021 especially. There is certainly common ground that can be shared with each and every one of us, and even within our differences, we're able to find those similarities that really bring us together as a group of girls within Girls Inc.
I love Girls Inc.
Girls have the right to be themselves and resist gender stereotypes. Girls have the right to express themselves with originality and enthusiasm.
Girls have the right to take risks, to strive freely, and to take pride in success. Girls have the right to accept and appreciate their bodies.
Girls have the right to have confidence in themselves and be safe in the world. Girls have the right to prepare for interesting work and economic independence.
Okay. Okay, so with that, I will move on to our presentation. So as you might have gathered, Girls Inc. works with girls to empower them to be strong, smart, and bold. So our comprehensive approach to whole girl development targets both their mind, body wellness, their academic success, and their community engagement as a way to equip our girls to navigate all of the barriers that they're confronted with: gender, economic, and social barriers. So why girls, why now? I think many of us can answer that question. I think we all have a collective understanding of the time that we're in and why this is such a critical moment. Overcoming gender inequity is absolutely front and center, one of the most critical areas of our time, one of the most critical issues. And, the world is really opening up and changing. We're talking about it. Positions of power and authority for girls and women are more prevalent. They're opening up. And I think we are in the midst of a cultural shift. And now is even more important so that our girls are ready to take those opportunities, that they're ready to step into those seats of leadership and authority. And of course, there's so many intersecting barriers that girls are facing, especially girls of color, especially girls that are growing up in poverty. Gender inequity coupled with socioeconomic inequity, with racial injustice. These are tough barriers to overcome. So we feel that now is the time for us and many of us and many other organizations that are doing this work to work with young girls and young women to prepare them and ready them to address those barriers and, more importantly, overcome them and break these cycles of injustice and undereducation and gender inequity. So how do we do that? So as you saw, our tagline, inspiring girls to be strong, smart, and bold, those are the three pillars of our work, and our programs fall within those three categories. So a strong girl is healthy. She's making positive choices for her mind and her body and her overall wellness. A smart girl is excited about education. She's doing well in school. She's on track to graduate, and she has aspirations of higher education. We do have a STEM focus within our SMART programs. And a bold girl is not afraid to use her voice. She is engaged in her community. She's aware of social justice issues. She's not afraid to speak up, and she's not afraid to be a leader with respect to those community issues and those social justice topics. Within those three categories, we have a library of programs. This is just a sample of some of the things that we're currently running. So our Empower Her program in Strong pulls from all three of our categories, actually. So it takes a really holistic approach to understanding physical wellness, mind and body wellness. We also tackle healthy sexuality and reproductive rights. And also we blend in leadership. So how do all of these things come together to create a strong and healthy young woman? Our current SMART program is called Future STEMnists. So again, a strong focus on STEM. And this particular program is focuses on all of these STEM components: science, technology, engineering, and math. And within each of those modules, we also blend in this holistic approach that connects STEM concepts to everyday experiences. So for example, in our environmental science unit, we talk a lot about different health outcomes in communities that might have different levels of environmental pollution. And how is that related? Why does environmental pollution matter in terms of the health outcomes of you and your family? And we look at health outcomes by zip code, and then we cross-reference that with environmental issues. And that's one example of many about how we connect STEM concepts to everyday lived experience so that our girls understand why it matters, that it's not an abstract idea, that this is an idea that affects your life every single day. Our BOLD program is Seeds of Change, currently running a social justice program that is looking at issues related to gender and racial inequity. And within that, we really analyze and take apart systems of power, authority, and decision making. So we look at historically how decisions are made, who holds power and why, what is the root of that, and what is the path to breaking those cycles. Last year, we served approximately 400 girls. We in San Diego, we are a smaller affiliate. So if you're not familiar, Girls Inc. is a national organization. We have 80 affiliates across the country. If you're not in San Diego, I absolutely encourage you to look at the Girls Inc. affiliate in your community. We range in size and scope. We are a smaller affiliate, but on a path to aggressive growth. We've already grown 63% in the last year, both in terms of numbers served and our budget. Some Girls Inc. organizations are center-based and might be serving 1,400 girls. So again, I definitely encourage you to look that up if you're not in the San Diego market. Of course, we'd love your support, but we're a network and we support each other's work across the network. In San Diego, we serve primarily Hispanic and Latina. Second to that, Black and African American. We do service multiracial Asian Americans, Caucasian, and Middle Eastern. We've recently expanded our work into the urban core of San Diego, specifically a neighborhood called City Heights, which has a large population of resettled Burmese Karen minorities that are here in San Diego. And so we do anticipate serving a larger number of our Asian American girls here in San Diego in the coming year. Our girls are primarily low income. We work with Title I schools. So 49% of our households living in a household of $30,000 a year or less. So let that sink in for a minute. That's a family of 4 on $30,000 a year or less. So we definitely have a very high need population, often first generation college if they attend, and that is absolutely one of our goals. We do rigorous evaluation. We've had a 2-year study conducted by the American Institute for Research that found fantastic results for Girls Inc. girls against non-Girls Inc. This was a national research. However, we run our own research every year, our own evaluation. It's called the Strong, Smart, and Bold Survey, and it measures approximately 68 data points in our strong, smart, and bold categories. This is a very small subset, but as you can see, we do have great results in terms of our outcomes with girls across our 3 areas of programming. And of course, just some quick, testimonials from our girls themselves about being inspired. Ilwad wants to become a medical lawyer because she wants to speak up for people and their medical rights. And that was from a STEM program. So you never know how the girls are inspired, what they reach out for. Some of our Latina girls have really enjoyed understanding what is Latinaism, what are the roots of identity, and what does that mean? And in our social justice work, of course, we have girls who started their own advocacy platform called Voices of the Unheard, and they're moving forward to push advocacy items forward. They're currently working on that right now and meeting with legislators to learn how to be youth advocates. And how to get involved. We have lots of ways to get involved. Of course, corporate partnerships are a huge way that we support our work and can create volunteer opportunities. Our volunteer and mentors work in the classroom with girls or virtually, either as a one-time guest speaker or in an ongoing program. And usually that comes by way of a corporate partnership where we develop an idea and a concept to engage employees throughout the year, or whatever is most meaningful for that corporate partner. They look different across different partnership models that we've developed. Of course, as individuals, please, you can support our work generally or any specific program. And as always, we invite a board membership and participation.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. I know we have a time limit. I don't know how many minutes we still have.
We have
but
1 minute and 20 seconds.
All right. If anybody has questions, feel free to drop it in the chat for Sandra and I. My name is Lola Adeyemo. So I'm here in San Diego as well. I serve on the board of Girls Inc. San Diego. And I've been in this role for almost a year now. Oh, wow. Yeah, almost a year now. But what I really wanted to highlight is, apart from my board experience, which really helps me to help at the strategy level with designing some of these programs for our girls, I have been involved with Girls Inc. since 2017 when I led ERG at my company. I was head of Women ERG, and we had a huge program. We brought about 30 girls to our site and manufacturing site, and we did a tour with the girls. Then we did small micro career mentoring sessions where we invited a lot of people from different functions to sit with the girls, and the questions they asked were amazing. So we got our CSR department to fund it. We brought the girls, we provided transport, and then we did a program where they saw, different people in different roles. And you have no idea how much of an impact that will have on the young girls, seeing people that look like them in roles and making it become a possibility in their mind. So it was really, that experience really stuck with me, and I've been involved with Girls Inc. ever since. Really honored when I got the opportunity to join the board, and I continue to advocate for the support from corporations. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra, and thank you, Lola. We don't have any questions in the chat yet, but if they do come up, please just reference it as question for Girls Inc. or Girls Inc. question. I
know this is also being recorded, so I just wanted to say I am on the Slack channel because I'm an ERG consultant. That's my day job. I speak to companies, I help them set up ERGs, and I help ERGs grow. So I am on the channel. If anybody has any question, feel free to tag me and I will be happy to answer.
Thank you, Lola. Yes, we will be tagging all the speakers here, and we are recording this. So this will be posted on the Slack channel. So you can find the speakers afterwards as well and ask more specific questions. All right, Richard, over to you. Thank you again, Sandra and Lola, for presenting. That was very empowering to me. I wish I had that when I was a younger woman. And I really look forward to just hearing more and seeing how many people are participating. So thank you for presenting.
Great. Can everyone see my slides?
Yep, we can.
Great. That was, first of all, that was an amazing presentation, and I think there's so much opportunity. I put some notes in the chat, but I'll be quick on this. Hi, everyone. My name is Richard So. I'm the Executive Director of SF Hep B Free. And first, I want to start with a really short clip here. See if this works here on my share. Let's see, optimize for video, share. Let's see if this works.
1 in 12 Asian Americans is living with hepatitis B. And most...
Could it be me? But no one I know has it.
And most...
Me? But wouldn't I have symptoms or feel sick?
And most people don't have symptoms. Left untreated, nearly 1 in 4 people will develop serious liver problems, including liver cancer.
I got tested, so I know I'm not infected.
Testing is the only way to know if you have hepatitis B. Talk to your doctor today. It could save your life.
So that was just a really quick video put out by the CDC, but it does a really good job summarizing the issue of hepatitis B, and that's what our organization is all about, and something I'm going to tell you about today, and hopefully you'll join in the fight against this disease, and with some very simple, easy things to do that can really save lives. And the biggest issue is that hepatitis B is something totally not known about, despite the risk to Asian American communities and also sub-Saharan African communities. And right now, 1 in 12 Asian American Pacific Islander immigrant adults are chronically infected with hepatitis B. Yet 2 out of 3 people who have it have no idea, because you don't feel sick until it's too late. And I'll explain that a little bit later. 1 in 4 of those who have chronic hepatitis B will go on to develop serious liver disease or liver cancer that you usually die from. And we call this a silent killer because, as I said before, when you have the virus hepatitis B, you don't actually feel sick, you don't look sick, you don't sound sick. But once that virus slowly does damage to your liver, it makes it much more likely, 100 times more likely, to develop liver cancer, which is one of the most deadly forms of liver cancer. And most people who get liver cancer die within the year. But there's a lot we can do. Already, there's a safe and effective vaccine developed in the late 80s that protects you for life if you get it. And if you catch the disease before it becomes a serious liver disease or cancer, the management is super simple. You go visit your doctor 2 times a year instead of once, and then check some liver enzyme and health numbers. And for most people, that management is fine, even when you have the virus. There may come a day where the doctor says, well, the virus level looks not so great, and some of your liver looks a little scarred. Let's start you on this pill a day that you do have to take for the rest of your life. But most people have no side effects from that pill, and it is something that will prevent you from ever progressing farther along. So we really do have all the tools to beat this, unlike many of the kind of big diseases that people are fighting against today. So who are we? Our name is SF Hep B Free. We started in 2007, actually, to fight the hepatitis B epidemic that nobody was talking about, particularly in the Asian American community here in the Bay Area. Our mission to increase awareness and education about Hep B within the community among healthcare providers, and increase access to affordable testing, vaccination, and provide linkage to care for those who are affected by this disease. So what does that look like in person? So for us, that's a lot of community education and screening. That means us going to cultural events, health fairs, churches, things like dragon boat races, anywhere where large numbers of Asian Americans and immigrants gather, and then doing the education. You can see the tabling on the top left and the screening on the top right, as well as educating physicians. That bottom left photo is one of us going to Kaiser docs and really reminding them this is an important issue, that they should test their patients, especially Asian American ones, for hepatitis B. And that bottom right picture is a campaign we did several years ago, saying really be a hero, get tested, talk about it, say something along those lines. We also, as you might imagine, during COVID, switched to a lot of virtual educations. So this was an education for Asian American, I believe, mothers group. And we did the presentation in both English and Chinese and did that online. So we are trying to reach out to the community in different ways that work. And also we have been featured, and we work to get featured on TV, radio, Chinese radio and TV on the left, Filipino TV on the right, as well as newspapers and public events like we do an annual photo for Hep A, B, and C in front of the San Francisco City Hall. So what can ERG members do? Well, we ask you just simply to join us. This is an issue that is the largest health disparity of Asian Americans and the general population in the country. Well, although we make up about 6% of the US population, more than 50% of the estimated about 2 million Americans with chronic Hep B are Asian American or Pacific Islander. And that's just too many fathers, mothers, and sisters and brothers that are lost way too early. And these are all photos of, unfortunately, people who passed away from Hep B. And you can see there are folks in their 30s and even younger who also suffer from this disease, and just simply because they weren't aware of it. So I can tell you a little bit more about the disease, but I've opted to skip that. Happy to talk further about that in favor of what you can do. So the first thing is just go and get tested, or make sure you know your own status, particularly if your parents are from immigrant countries. Ask your mom and dad, aunts and uncles if they've been tested. You can literally save a life with a 5-minute conversation. And this is something I say totally wholeheartedly. Like, they will ignore you and say, I feel fine, I don't need to do it. Just go and call their doctor for them. Then the second thing would be to help spread the word in your networks and really get this out. And then finally, become a champion. And there's several ways to do that. I split it out into kind of 3 different levels, from the simplest and lowest effort to the highest effort and more complex. And that's one, to make a donation. As every organization here, funding is always an issue, and we do a lot with very little. We ask you to do that in a one-time donation, or if you can, the best way is recurring donations. Just as a level set, it's $25 to screen one person for Hep B, so $25 to potentially save one life. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. And then the other thing, as ERGs, you can choose any of these nonprofits, amazing nonprofits, and set maybe 1 or 2 of them for your annual cause, or divide it up, something like that, so that your ERG can make it very easy to collect funds from your members and send it to a cause, whichever they think is worthy. The second one is volunteering or donating your company resources. So this one we put in medium because it can be as simple as serving as a translator at a cultural event or health fair to spread this information. We do mini 10-minute trainings, and then you can stand there and talk to community members. People find that very fulfilling. Or you can share your networks, such as your ERG groups, your church groups, if your parents are part of WeChat groups, things like that, and being able, because we are only as strong as the people we can reach. And then on the higher, and then in terms of company resources, many companies have products that many nonprofits besides us could use, whether that's website stuff or planning software, things like Asana, like work organizing tools that many nonprofits would love to use, but may not have the budget to do that. And then finally, on the higher end, it's everything from becoming a volunteer worker to help on some strategic issue, or donating certain skills that you may have expertise in, everything from web design to digital marketing, whether that be strategic planning. We know lots of ERGs for tech companies have lots of project or product managers. A lot of those skills are things that many ERGs could use and just tap into, like consulting, but simply can't afford those at a market rate. And so offering your own skills and what you probably and hopefully love to do is something that's a very great way to give back to groups like us and everybody else on this call. So I just had a couple more slides here on what some funding can do. So to see how much your funding would cause. I just included this so that when we give the slides out, you can know ways to easily donate. And then the final thing I wanted to do kind of for fun is share our 2021 year-end review video, which I think is a little hype. And then I'll go to answer any questions. Awesome, I feel like I'm winning so many bits.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. There, I'm done. How's my time?
You did beautifully. You had like 3 more minutes on presentation. You could have, showcased a little bit longer of this video if it went another 3 minutes. That was impressive. I will say, I don't know how many people counted how many words Richard spoke per second, but it sounded like it was a lot. We do have a couple of questions for you in the chat. The first one is, are there language resources we can direct to our families?
Yeah, that is a great question. So fortunately, we have several resources and brochures in a variety of languages through partnerships with the Asian Liver Center. And also, awesomely, that first video from the CDC website under Know Hep B, as in KNOW Hep B, that campaign has a series of videos in many different languages that also appeal to kind of Asian cultural values. So there's a lot of families in them, and I think they have them in Cantonese, Mandarin, Korean, Vietnamese, and some other ones. But we have made resources for Tagalog and Hmong and things like that too. And so those are available. And I can direct anybody who wants to some of those resources.
Perfect, thank you. And then the last question we have here, are there in-home tests or would someone have to go into a doctor's office?
Actually, that's also a great question. There's so far not in-home tests that are FDA approved. So unfortunately, there's not a rapid test. They are actually available on the internet and should be, and they're sold in other countries. And so the results, I've talked to our experts and they say, since they're FDA, not technically FDA approved, like we highly recommend you visit your own doctor. But this is a very simple blood test. They will have to take a tube of blood, but we highly suggest you just make a quick appointment, even if it's at the next physical, just get it one and done, the test done. And then if you have it, get vaccinated and you never have to worry about it again. So they are working on rapid tests and for FDA approval of more rapid tests, but that hasn't come yet.
Perfect. That was beautiful. Those are the only two questions that we had for you, Richard. Thank you so much for the presentation. I was not aware of how this affects the AAPI community, and so that was extremely informative. I would like to pass it now to our third and our last guest, Helen Ma from Project by Project. Helen, whenever you're ready, please feel free to share your screen. And for anyone who is joining us, or if, just a quick reminder, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask it in the chat. Otherwise, this will be recorded and posted on our YouTube and Slack with all of these speakers tagged.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Angel. And are you guys able to see the screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I am Helen, and I'm here on behalf of Project by Project. Like many of you that are ERG leaders, I serve my extra time with Project by Project. In my full-time job, I am a people operations director at a sustainability consulting firm. And so, Project by Project has been around for 25 years, and we're actually going to be celebrating our 25th anniversary as an organization this year. So really excited about that. As a kind of founding vision and mission, we were really created as an opportunity to give Asian Americans an opportunity to practice leadership and philanthropy. 25 years ago, and we continue to see this today, there weren't really a lot of Asian Americans in leadership positions. And then there weren't really these groups like the ALA that really allowed Asian Americans to have an opportunity to network, to learn about these leadership skills, and to really advocate for themselves to be in these roles. And so, kind of going back to Girls Inc., I'm a very proud alumni of the work that they've done. I was a part of the Alameda County chapter when I was in middle school and high school, and thanked them for all of the leadership and like the just kind of like the leadership skills that I've been able to have. And so when I, looked at joining Project by Project, a lot of what I think I learned as a Girls Inc. participant was then kind of transferred into Project by Project. And so, yeah, like our mission is really to empower the Asian American community. And how we do that is we do have 3 chapters, both in New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, it is 100% volunteer led and run. And so it's a lot like your ERGs. Every person that we have in each of the chapters volunteer their time to help really promote the programming, to help promote local food and beverage partners, and then to promote local nonprofit organizations. And so typically what happens is we have our local steering committee members who then partner with local community partners. And so those are typically nonprofit organizations. And every year we have a campaign theme that we then raise awareness, we provide volunteer opportunities for, and then we provide funds to a local organization. And so it's been really important for us to really have this like threefold, trifold opportunity to really partner with local organizations to help them really elevate their messaging, to provide more awareness about these Asian American causes, and then all the while, really building Asian American leaders internally. And so within each of those 3 chapters, we do have 6 teams. And so our events, fundraising, and outreach team are our more outward facing teams. And so they typically partner up with those community partners. Our events team works with food and beverage partners. We tried a restaurant week last year that was really successful. And then we also host an annual tasting gala every year. And so our events team really nurtures those relationships with those restaurants and bars so that, they are coming out to these restaurant weeks, and that they're also coming out to our annual Plate by Plate. Our fundraising outreach team then, works with corporate companies and nonprofits to then help, really elevate our programming or to help partner with these local nonprofits. And then the bottom three are then our internal teams that then work to really promote the work that we do for project by project, but also provide leadership and talent or kind of like development opportunities for our steering committee. And so typically when everybody joins at the beginning of the year, you know, everyone has goals. Maybe sometimes they're trying to find ways to advocate for themselves a little bit more. Maybe they want to be able to move into a leadership position at work, or maybe they want to get the confidence to then do public speaking. And so our team and leadership team then, you know, works to create programming to help provide those opportunities for folks. And so, you know, this model has been really helpful for us in being able to really give all of our volunteers an opportunity to learn both, you know, how to make an impact in the community, but then also internally and with themselves. And so it's both a professional and personal network that we've been able to build through project by project. And so in the last 25 years, we've been able to tackle all of these different topics that you're seeing here. And I always like to, I think when I first joined Project by Project 3 years ago, one of the biggest things that I think I continue to just keep on learning about is that these are issues that are not typically associated with the Asian American community. And the last year, we've been hearing a lot about Stop Asian Hate and Asian hate crimes. But, you know, along this, you know, all this time, you know, our community is continuing to be severely impacted by issues like domestic violence or housing crisis, or even immigration kind of inequities, right? And so it was really important for us as a core foundation to the work that we do is that we always have a campaign theme every year to really be able to raise that awareness, to partner up with a local organization, and then to get some folks behind these organizations. And so as you can see, you know, we've tackled everything from domestic violence to senior care to youth care, human trafficking, to then really fun things like the media arts, or kind of like, you know, programming that, you know, kids can have. And then in the last 2 years, it's been really important for us to then like also look at what we call civic engagement, where we really wanted to raise awareness. 2020 was a huge campaign or like election year, and it was really important for us to change the demographics of Asian Americans coming out to vote. Historically, we have found that, you know, Asian Americans are not the most likely to vote, and you can blame that on language assistance. You can blame that on, you know, just kind of this feeling of our one vote will really make an impact on the larger scale of things. But 2020 was also the year that, you know, because of all of these local organizations, we actually saw the most voter turnout and engagement in 2020. And I know that that helped really flip the narrative of, you know, Asian Americans in the community. And so each of these campaign themes are really selected because these are things that are important to all three chapters, and that it really gives us an opportunity to really dive more into how these issues impact the Asian American community, raise awareness about it, and then to push some funding back into that. Historically, you will also probably find out that a lot of Asian American nonprofits are not the ones that get the most amount of funding. And that's because there is a perception of success and wealth within the community. And so that perception essentially means that these community organizations lose a lot of funding. They are not given priority funding, but that there is still a really big need. And I think we have been able to see that the most in this last year. And, you know, everyone trying to find a like causation behind why Asian hate crimes are happening, right? We're all trying to like wrap our head around what's going on, how do we make a difference, and why can we not have enough like, you know, funding and resources to develop and divert it into the Asian American community. So I have a list of our past beneficiary partners here. These are the folks that we have worked with over in the San Francisco Bay Area. And as you can see, this year we don't have a campaign theme because it is our 25th anniversary year. And so what we are doing is we are reactivating all of these organizations. And so we have committed to partnering up with 3 of our past beneficiary partners to do pro bono consulting. And the remaining folks we will then be helping raise awareness and also providing volunteer opportunities for. And so we're really excited to be able to re-educate our steering committee about the impact of all of these different causes and these different organizations, and then to be able to provide some of these community organizations some spotlight and to really share their stories and why the work that they do matters. So here's a quick list. Hope that you guys are able to also look some of these up. There are a few of them that have closed in the last couple of years, but a lot of these are still very much alive and doing the work in the community. And so I always like to, talk a little bit about like why our work matters. And so I do want to kind of put a little bit of a quiz, and so I'm going to just look over to the chat bot. I'd love to just see if anybody has any clues about what this number resonates or dictates or is representative.
Food and beverage.
Food and beverage, no. Hours of what? Of work, no. Volunteer, no. All right, I'm gonna drop the hint. And so this was actually the most recent report number published by Stop AAPI Hate. Just kind of being able to highlight the number of hate incidents reported since the beginning of the pandemic until the end of the year. And so, this is something that's really important because a lot of, as what I just kind of mentioned, a lot of what we have as a community have been trying to experience and try to understand is why this is all happening when, there are still very many communities being severely impacted. A lot of the early kind of Asian hate crimes that were being reported had also impacted or directly targeting elders, right? And so those elders are usually the ones that are living in really socioeconomic hardships and are having some of those issues that we had listed as campaign themes. Another number, so love to be able to see what some of you think are this number translates to. 90%.
Satisfaction and collaboration.
Collaboration. Nope. Has something to do with COVID for sure. And I would argue that 90% of the hate crimes are unreported. Asian businesses closing, that is great. So very, very close. So 90% is the percentage of AAPI businesses impacted by COVID-19. And so one of the things that Project by Project has actually diverted a little bit more attention to in the last year, especially in our San Francisco chapter, is promoting local AAPI small businesses. One of our signature fundraising events is a food and tasting event, and we always have our vendors or food and beverage partners come out and they volunteer both their time and their food, and they always go above and beyond. And so in the last 2 years, it's been really important to us as an organization to really thank these partners by really marketing them, getting some people into their restaurants, and to really promote the work that the food and the beverage that they are able to have, and kind of like their stories. And so, the COVID-19 pandemic has definitely shown, just AAPI businesses being so severely impacted by whether that is like racism, but also just kind of like, business as usual, as has many other organizations and companies. And then last fact is 22.9 million. I will happily go to trivia, but I am probably going to not do you any justice there. All right. So this large number is the number of Asian American Pacific Islanders in the US. And so, it is historically known that Asian Americans are the fastest growing population in the US. And as a result of that, there is always the perceived notion of success, of wealth, and that everybody coming into this country has a ton of wealth and opportunities. But what we continue to learn about is, if we kind of clump all of the Asian Americans together in one demographic, we're we're actually doing a lot of injustice to everybody's stories and how they have then come into the US and how their stories and narratives are impacting their daily lives. And so a lot of Asian American communities continue to still struggle, and it's been really important to us as a community organization to really be able to raise awareness about the different realities that each of our communities have. And so wanted to share that. And then over 40 countries of descent from 5 different geopolitical regions, right? And so when we look at Asian Americans and we have this perception of success, we are removing trauma, we're removing war, we're removing all of the different complexities of what has brought people to the United States and the struggles that they continue to face. And so it's been really important, again, just as an organization, for us to be able to provide those opportunities to raise awareness about these various issues. And so in celebration of our 25th anniversary, I did want to share a plate video. So this is our signature annual tasting event that we host every year. We obviously had to take a pause in 2020, but was really lucky to be able to bring it back last year with Dion Lim as one of our guest speakers. So I'll show that.
This year, we've chosen to explore how our individual and community efforts can fight the global climate crisis.
So I hope we'll be able to see some of you guys out there this year. But yeah, I wanted to just drop this information. I know a lot of you as ERG leaders are looking for ways to continue to support Asian American organizations or to support nonprofit organizations. And so did drop a QR code here because we all know how to use them now. But wanted to, if you are interested in providing some information, if you wanted to connect, please fill that out. As a special to this, I am also offering $15 off our plate by plate tickets when we launch them. And so we usually will do a early bird rate for about a week or two. And so this will allow you all to get a taste of plate by plate and then at its lowest cost. But I think all promotion and kidding aside, I think, Richard just talked a little bit about ERG groups and how, you are all working in places that have subject matter experts that can really provide nonprofits an opportunity to continue to do their programming, to have some of those subject matter experts. And so please fill out that form. I will be in contact with you depending on whatever you're interested in. And if you do fill it out, then we will definitely put you on an email that we will then be able to share that promo code when we are ready to announce. But we are looking to bring Plate by Plate back in fall of this year. We have our venue booked and we're working on the marketing plan to push that out. So you guys would be the first people to hear about that. That is all on my end.
Beautiful. I am extremely impressed by our time commitment. We've been under the 20-minute allotted time, and that was ambitious on my end. But I think we did a phenomenal job of just keeping it within an hour. With the last 3 minutes, I do want to ask if anyone has any questions, please put it in the chat. In the meantime, Helen, thank you so much for sharing what Project by Project does. That last video definitely made me hungry. It is my lunchtime now, so yes. Any other questions?
This is Richard. Helen, I just, it was interesting that you put the Florence Fang Community Gardens. I just did a Hep B education there 2 weeks ago.
I saw.
So that's great. And I think one of the things that these meetings allow is we should be collaborating. Like if there's a way to integrate some of our causes into some fundraisers, why not? You know, one of the things that, and Helen, I'll probably reach out to you for this, is I'm trying to find a way to better tap into the huge amount of what I would say is like very successful millennial Asians working in tech who could probably be fine donating, you know, $10 a month, you know, $1 a day to some of these causes. And it's just not something that a lot of people pay attention to. But when I talk to my friends, they're like, oh yeah, like I make enough that I could do that. It just I'm too lazy to go out and look for it. And so it's something I've talked about in ALA too. And like, so how do we mobilize our folks to go out and tap into this, quite frankly, this wealth? And the other thing is we've grown up in a generation where we're like, we should give back. I mean, we saw it with the API hate stuff. I mean, money poured into places like Stop API Hate and Hate is a Virus. So I'm excited to see what more we can do on that marketing front, philanthropy front.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of hate is a virus, ALA just put out a new toolkit for the remembrance of March 16th. And for any ERG who wants to or needs some communication templates, that has been posted on our Slack so that you can communicate effectively with your ERG members and or any of your allies that you belong to. So I think Jimmy just put the link in the chat for anyone who is interested. Again, this is all available in Slack as well. And if this is your first time joining us, let me just share my screen really quick so you can screenshot, or not screenshot, you can take a picture of the QR codes. Here are our QR codes. If this is your first time, oops, oh Lord, what did I do? Yes, please join us via Slack and our Every Space, which is a new platform we just moved over to, so that you can post any event that you're hosting as an organization or an individual contributor and learn what other people are doing around the nation. So with that, I just want to say thank you all. It was such a pleasure having you join us for our first open house. We are hosting these quarterly. So every quarter, we will introduce 3 new nonprofit organizations so that you and your organization can participate in whatever capacity that you can. Thank you all so much for your time. Again, this is recorded and will be posted on our Slack and YouTube.